is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today as we're talking about WrestleMania 38 Night 2. It looks like everybody wanted to talk about Cody Rhodes showing up, and he was there. Everybody wanted to talk about Stone Cold Steve Austin, whether if he was going to fight or not. And he got in the ring and he fought with Kevin Owens. Now it seems like we're not even done with the wrestling rumors for WrestleMania, because as of right now, heating up is the rumor is The Rock going to show up at night 2 of WrestleMania 38. I guess you call it WrestleMania Sunday, but the rumors are headlined because of the fact that The Rock's mom was sitting behind commentary on night 1. I know that The Rock comes from a wrestling family. We all know this from, I guess, just knowing it, or at least watching Young Rock, where The Rock's grandma ran the territory in Hawaii, where Rocky Johnson wrestled. Of course, Rock's mom, where'd I go? Rock's mom was married to Rocky Johnson, so wrestling's in their blood. I know that she's been to a bunch of WrestleManias, but does she really show up when The Rock's not set to be there? The Rock wasn't at the show last night. I wonder what brought her to say she wanted to be there. Was it just to support Stone Cold Steve Austin, her son's biggest rival, during his son's wrestling career? I don't know. I think there's a little bit of smoke with this one. Definitely the main event. The Rock has had return rumors for both of these guys. Of course, Rock versus Brock Lesnar. They would have to bring up SummerSlam 2002, the Rock versus Brock match. Really, really good. It shot Brock Lesnar to stardom, defeating one of the biggest names in WWE, and then The Rock got to go off and make, I believe he left to go make Scorpion King, but I'm not 100% sure if that's the right timeline. Or it definitely wasn't Mummy 2, or what was that other movie called? The Longest Yard? No, it wasn't that. No. That what he is in that movie. But what was that movie where he played like the gay bodyguard? That kind of led to their split up because Vince didn't want him to play that role for one reason or another. But of course, they go the other direction. It was talked about that this year's WrestleMania would be headlined by The Rock versus Roman Reigns. Of course, the family ties that bring them together. Of course, Roman Reigns was in the Hobbs and Shaw movie with The Rock. Whether if that was like a favor to The Rock, or whether if that was WWE reaching out and trying to get Roman to be a bigger star. They could easily, finally do Roman versus Rock, a match we've talked about for probably at least 5 years now. To sort of have Rock put over Roman on the way out. And definitely with the last 2 years that Roman has had, he doesn't really need The Rock to put him over in the first place, but I guess it would just be one more thing to put on his Hall of Fame plaque, that he was the guy to finally retire Rock. The one thing that we can really learn from last night, I don't think Stone Cold Steve Austin did that match with Kevin Owens solely for the purpose of money. I don't think that was the bottom line reason. Of course, Vince slapped a whole bunch of fucking money on the table, and Stone Cold Steve Austin would have been a dumbass not to take it. But I think that there's a fire deep down in these guys that, burns from, being in the wrestling business, that I don't think ever really goes out. I'm sure there's guys out there that get burnt, that have bad experiences with, the locker room or management, and they don't really want anything to do with it anymore. Whether that's somebody like, Rick Martel, that's just been out of the business he just doesn't want to do autograph signings or, anything like that. He's just done. He doesn't want anything to do with it. But I think that, when The Rock, came back for, the run he did where he was the host of 27, and then, of course, he main evented 28 and 29. He was there for 30. He set something up with 31 that he wasn't able to deliver with at 32. He was at 32. Yeah, I guess he had a match at 32 if it comes down to it. But is that what he wants that last thing in the wrestling business to be? Is he came out, he shot a flamethrower, and then him and John Cena chased off the Wyatts? I think The Rock really wants to, put the tights on, come out there, raise the fist, smell what The Rock is cooking one more time. And definitely with watching WrestleMania, isn't going to want to get, have Stone Cold Steve Austin have that last moment. I think that there's definitely guys that you can tie together throughout the history of wrestling, that there is a real storyline between, like there's a real rivalry. And I think that is always going to be, when people talk about the Attitude Era, who the real number one star would be. Of course, The Rock has a bunch of fandom that comes from making movies, and maybe when Stone Cold Steve Austin went out and he made movies, he had a lot of, straight to DVD, straight to Blu-ray releases, never really had that real, blockbuster that The Rock has had, many of. He pretty much has one or two almost every year. Is that something that makes The Rock a bigger star? Or when it comes down to it, you just weigh what they did in the wrestling ring. And, Stone Cold Steve Austin is the one that, kicked the boom off with the match at Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 14 and carried them to having the years they had that The Rock rode this the wave of success. Once he became a main eventer, he was just sort of, there because of what Stone Cold Steve Austin did. Of course, Stone Cold Steve Austin's neck injury. Of course, The Rock being able to go off and make movies after he, was on Saturday Night Live before WrestleMania 16, which, got people thinking. And then he went out and did The Mummy Returns, which led to the Scorpion King and all of that there, maybe we would have had something else, down the road. But then again, Austin has said that at 19, he knew that was his last match. I don't think he ever thought he would get to a point he wanted to come back 19 years later. But The Rock, who had a match, I guess the last real match would have to be 29. So we're only looking at 9 years ago. I think definitely with the shape The Rock's in, I think he definitely could do it. So the only problem I have is that they kicked the storyline off at WrestleMania with, like, let's say, Rock running in to, save Roman, or Rock coming in to, interfere in the match because, let's say, the Usos come running down and The Rock doesn't think that it's a fair fight, and he actually comes out and he has Brock's back. Where does that lead to? I mean, Rock's not coming back to have a match at WrestleMania Backlash. Is it just something that's going to set up SummerSlam? I guess that's the next biggest show, which would be in August. Or are we just going full year build again like we did after 27, and we're just going all the way to LA? Of course, when WrestleMania has been in LA in the past, a lot of people were really surprised that The Rock wasn't there at WrestleMania 21. That was, of course, because his star was starting to bloom on the big screen, and they had a falling out when Vince and WWE let his contract expire, and The Rock kind of took that as, a dig that, he wasn't worth them signing to a deal when they didn't feel like he was actually going to be on the show, which that led to the 7 years that he was gone, or was that 6? before he came back to be named the guest host of WrestleMania 27. So let me know what you guys think. I think The Rock's showing up tonight. I think there's a little smoke there. I think they really could do something. My only question is how they capitalize on it. Are they just trying to build a big SummerSlam? Or are they trying to kick things off to WrestleMania? Definitely you can see the, I don't want to say the lack of people, because it's still 77,000. But we're still trying to build back crowds to the point they were before this whole pandemic and COVID bullshit of a few years ago. I think they're just trying to get it to the point where SoFi Stadium there in Los Angeles is just packed out, WrestleMania 7-like crowd of 100,000 people. They're cheering on their favorite superstars. So we'll see. Peace out, guys.